meetings, y'all are good too, right? Aaron, the summer, you good? All right, the time is 7 p.m. and I call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Red Oak City Council to order. Let it be known that notices have been posted in accordance to Texas Government Code Section 551, and we do have a quorum present with all council members present here in the meeting facility. Councilman Gregg, would you lead us in the pledges and the invocation, please?
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening. So first of all, I ask you to forgive us for all of our sins. Father, we ask that you continue to have your angels watch over us and protect us, Father. Father, we ask that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. Father, we ask that you continue to watch over and bless everyone in this room tonight and all that could not make it here tonight, Father. Father, we ask that you continue to heal those that are in need of healing, Father. And those that just continue to be with us, Father. We ask that you carry us and walk with us, Father. Every step that we take, Father, is a step towards you. We ask you to continue to just guide us and lead us, Father. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Chief Land.
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Can you hear me?
I don't think it's on. Is that on?
I'll just talk loud.
I got it.
Oh. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to introduce you tonight to our newest firefighter, Jamichael Howard. Mr. Howard comes to us from the City of Crowley Fire Department, where he's got a little over a year's worth of service. Mr. Howard started with us today on his 2-week 8 to 5 orientation. And so after he completes his 2-week 8 to 5 orientation, he'll be assigned to B shift at Station 181. He will start there on Monday, April the 24th. We're happy to have Mr. Howard on board with us and look forward to working with him in the future. We just wanted to take a minute and introduce you to him, so see his face around town. He's semi-local. He lives in Midlothian, so just want to take a minute to introduce him.
Glad to have you. Welcome aboard.
First day having come to the county.
Doesn't mean you can leave yet. Glad to have you. All right, so now's the fabulous opportunity to have different proclamations. And the first one we're going to do, Ms. Dean, would you come join me?
Yes.
And you have other people with you.
I do.
You'll bring them up and introduce them, or her. I apologize.
My name is Leslie Dean. I'm the Executive Director of the Ellis County Children's Advocacy Center, and with me tonight is Katie Tackett, and she's serving as our Director of Community Education and Engagement, a new position for us. So the neat thing about the month of April is it's National Child Abuse Prevention Month. And that's a tough thing to talk about, but once we continue to get that word out there that we're not going to tolerate anything like that, and we're going to do everything to look out for the welfare of all that are involved in the organization of what you do and helping get them care. It goes from law enforcement to legal court systems to your office and to attorney generals and things like that. So we want to say thank you for what you do. I know it's probably heartbreaking, some of the cases that you kind of come across. And I'd like to proclaim with council's privilege
that April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month, and we urge that all citizens to recognize this month and dedicating ourselves to the task of improving the quality of life for all children and families.
We wanted to share just a few things that might be closer to home for you all. First, we'd like to thank the City of Red Oak for always bringing this to us. Karen Stevens always reminds us, hey, it's April again, would you like to do this? Yes, we do, and we very much appreciate how proactive Red Oak is as a city. I'd like to also thank you and Councilman for allowing us to come and speak tonight. And then also Garland Wolf, our Chief of Police, the DA's office, and the Department of Family and Protective Services, along with Cook Children's and Children's Hospital of Dallas. We work with them to work the most heinous crimes that can happen against children. Last year we did 489 forensic interviews. 61 of those were your students in Red Oak. That represents about 13% of the kids that we've seen. I thought you might be interested in that. And I would also like to say that Red Oak we have a really good relationship with the school, and the guidance counselors at Red Oak High School have worked really diligently to recognize and report whenever they see abuse happening for kids, and also for child sex trafficking. And I just want to commend you guys for having a community that cares so much for kids, and we're glad to be a part of that. So thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
The second proclamation, Ms. Karen, Mrs. Summer, would you come up? So, the 54th Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week. Now, we think that we might be able to run the city, but we truly know the people that guide us in each direction and each department, and we are so appreciative for what you do. You continue to make this city run better. I think you keep our city manager in line, and that's a hard task to be able to do, but we thank you for that. You know, you don't realize what tasks that they are charged to do. They keep all the records, all the minutes, all the election times. What else do you do? A whole bunch of stuff. And the CE that they have to go through to be able to get those certifications is undaunting. It's just crazy. And again, with council's permission, I'd like to be able to recognize the week of April 30th through May 6th as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend our appreciation to the profession of municipal clerks and to all the professional municipal clerks for the vital services that they perform and their dedication to the communities that they represent. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Chief Wolf. Last one we have, not the least, is National Crime Victims' Rights Week. Share with us.
So every year in April. This year, between the 23rd and the 29th of April is a week that, on a national level, they have people participate in National Crime Victims' Rights Week. This year's theme is Survivor Voices, Elevate, Engage, and Affect Change, trying to create safe harbors to lift victims up so they feel confident when they report their crimes and then seek that assistance with dealing with the trauma from those crimes, that they get recognized. So every year during this week, it's about empowering victims of crime to speak up, stand up, raise their voices up, that they know they're going to be heard, they know they're going to be listened to, and that they're going to be believed with the crimes that they're faced with, and that they're going to get the help that they need to get through that. So it's very important for us, beyond the actual investigation and the arrest, to continue to follow up in the court system and make sure that we advocate for them, that they are getting all of the necessary support that they need as a result of crime. And so this week is designed to support those victims in those efforts.
So this week will be April 23rd through the 29th, and the council and I would like to reaffirm this city's commitment to creating a victim service and criminal justice response that assists all victims of crimes during Crime Victims' Rights Week and throughout the year, and express our sincere gratitude and appreciation for those community members, victim service providers, criminal justice professionals who are committed to providing our response to all victims of crime so they may find relevant assistance, support, justice, and peace. Thank you for your staff. Thank you. Okay. Now is a time for citizens' comments. We have two that are turned in, but they're going to speak on specific items, item 14 and 15 for Mr. Orr. And so at that time, I'll call you up, and then Mr. Morales on item 16. Is that correct? Okay. Was there anybody else here who did not get to fill out one for the open citizens' comments that wishes to? Hearing none, we will proceed with our meeting. So, consent agenda. Consent agendas are items that are considered routine in nature and can be acted upon in one motion. They might be interlocal agreements, they might be minutes, they might be reoccurring items that come up year to year. Any of the council members, city management, can ask for one or more of these items to be considered separately. Is there anybody who wishes to have any item withdrawn to consider separately?
Mayor, can we talk about item number 7, please?
Item 7. Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to approve items 1 through 6, 8 through 12. So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's Councilman Franklin and Councilman Lightfoot. Okay, those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye. Drake, aye. Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
All right, that passes 5-0. The information that you need on item 7 is consider adoption of resolution 23-030R, the City Council of City Red Oak, Texas, rejecting all bids for the request for proposal RFP 2023-03-23, the Live Oak Parks Live Oak Park's metal storage building for a metal storage building at the Live Oak Park's storage building, which are attached hereto and incorporated herein as Exhibit A and providing an effective date. Mr. Kelly, you wanna?
Oh, yeah, if you want, just so you don't have to listen to it, as I'm talking about, I'll just go right into my question. So, what it looks like is we had a budgeted amount of 125, all four of the bids you received were significantly higher than that, and you have a note that you want us to reject the bids, and you're gonna look at other options. So, I guess hopefully that's the summary, that's as much as needs to be said about the item itself. I just was curious about what other options you were looking at. Do we still think that we, can get that done this year? And we've seen building cost increase, so probably not gonna find cheaper at the specs you want. So are we looking at a budget amendment just to have some more money to put on the front?
There is a possibility of a budget amendment coming forth, but, right now what we're trying to do is we're utilizing the contractor that built the facility to use his, TIPS contract to see what pricing we can get back from him. He's in the process now of going through, seeing how he can get those numbers a little bit closer to our budget. At that point, we may need to come back and ask for a budget amendment.
Was he one of the bidders?
He was not,
Okay, so-
he was not. We went on to an open market bid because we realized that with this.
But we've seen the cost of all these structures like this going.
Everything's gone up, yes, sir.
Okay, but you still think this year, this is something you'll be able to get done?
I don't feel like I have an option. I think I need to get this one
I
done.
thought we did too, that's what I
Yes,
wanted to ask you about. Okay.
I may actually have something for council next month. Working, this is one of my top priorities right now, to get the numbers back so we can figure out where we need to go.
Okay, that's all the questions that I have, thank you.
Thank you. So now I'll entertain a motion to approve, to adopt resolution 23-030R.
So moved.
Got Councilman Lightfoot, Councilman Smith. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye. Drake, aye. Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
That passes 5-0. All right. Regular business. Item 13, consider adoption of resolution number 23-034R, the City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, opposing for the creation and expansion of special districts, including municipal utility districts, MUDs, in the City of Red Oak, Texas, and its extraterritorial jurisdiction, providing for a request to the State Senate Commission on Water, Agricultural, and Rural Affairs to reform the state law on such districts and provide an effective date. And that, is us. Go ahead.
So basically what this is doing, and you know, we've sent letters, you know, individually out to the state before concerning the MUD. But the county's actually done a resolution, and Waxahachie and Midlothian have done resolutions now. If Ennis has not, I know I talked to them and they're planning to. So we felt like it'd be good to follow suit, not only just put it on record, but so that we can have the document every time something needs to go out. We're not having to scavenge around and find something to send to them. And if you haven't noticed, the state legislature is looking at a bill that would even make it worse for cities to oppose municipal utility districts. So they're looking at ways to keep us from even protesting them, even inside the city limits, much less in the ETJ. So we feel like it's a good time to put this on the record and move forward. Do you have any questions?
Any questions, Council?
No questions.
Okay. Entertain a motion to adopt resolution 23-034R.
So moved.
Okay, and that was in stereo, Smith and Drake. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye. Drake, aye. Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
That passes 5-0. That drawn up. That sent off. Thank you. Conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 23-008 of the City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the City of Red Oak future land use plan and the map thereof as amended by amending the land uses to allow for a child daycare facility for Plan Area 15, PA 15, in the City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, as provided in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date. Case ZC 23-06, requested by Christopher and Tanya Orr and Dr. Emma.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The current property owner purchased the property within the planning area 15 in 2021 before the adoption of the city's current 2022 comprehensive plan. Their plans included the construction of a child daycare center. At the time of purchase, the 2010 comprehensive plan designated this area as Planning Area 10, which supported all educational, institutional, and special uses, including child daycare centers. The current designation has been amended to Planning Area 15 and excludes child daycare uses from its recommendation. Planning Area 15 is a designation that was created with the intention of supporting an urban mixed-use area that will incorporate a variety of residential, retail, dining, and service options. A child daycare center use would contribute to the mixed-use urban vision by providing educational, care, and care services to children in the surrounding area. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the request as presented, and staff concurs with the request.
Okay, so this is a public hearing. So we will open the public hearing at 7:22. And Mr. Orr, you have signed up to speak on that. I have you signed up for both 14 and 15. You're welcome to do both, or you do it all at once, however you want to do it.
So I'm open if there are any questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Council, is there anybody else here to speak on that? Okay. I'll entertain a motion at 7:23 to close the public hearing. So move. Councilman. Second. Yeah, okay, good. Franklin, Councilman Drake. Those in favor? Franklin, aye.
Aye. Drake, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
All right, that closes. All right, council, do you have any questions on this?
What's the location of it?
So it's just south of Mobile Road on the east side, across from Amaya's. Is that correct? Okay. Amaya's Mexican
Right next
restaurant.
to a car.
Yeah.
Mayor, I did have one question for Emma. Emma, we were looking at potentially that church, that was looking to go in there too, that would potentially have the school facilities in there. Right, right. Would that fit within this zoning criteria, or would this only work for daycare? I know that was one of the things that, while we were doing this, we talked about, because the church can go there regardless, but they wanted to potentially have a school in the future, so I wanted to make sure whether this does or does not include that.
Yeah, it would, and typically the churches is going to be an accessory to the church. The daycare would be an accessory to the church. They typically don't operate as like separate entities, but this would fit in the vision of having a church there.
With the school?
Right.
Okay.
So we don't have to come back and amend it again.
Right.
Yes.
Right, yes.
Okay.
Specifically for the daycare.
Well, I just want to clarify that it is for daycare or for school? Or
For
either?
a daycare center.
Okay, so that's what I was getting at. So do we need to come back again later to do the school? Because I thought that was what we were trying to do with one school.
No, this one is just for the daycare. If you can check if a school, like primary school, could actually fit into
essentially.
Councilman Lightfoot.
Yeah, this is a fairly large area, but we're just talking about the daycare going into just the very bottom south corner of this piece, right? So, but you think that, I didn't hear about the church before, but that's a little further north along the frontage as well?
Yeah, the school would be the bigger property, between the daycare, but south of the corner store. It would be about, I think it's like 20-something acres.
Okay.
And that was the one questioning that they had, because they could do the school, I mean, the church.
Yeah.
But they wanted to be able to make sure they had the school in there for the future.
Got it.
So this would affect not just that time.
The full,
Yeah.
I thought you had highlighted, we had it before on the map, that's what I was at, I wasn't sure where on that piece
So,
this is going.
Councilman Lightfoot, I think the church was looking south of that big drainage area though.
Okay,
Okay.
so still along the 342 side.
Right.
Correct.
Further south in the corner.
Yes, they would be in here.
I do, but that's about right.
Okay, yeah, and Dr. Aaron, this does specifically say child daycare facility, so we probably need to be more specific for church ones.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion to approve ordinance 23-008.
So moved.
Councilman Lightfoot, second. The Councilman Drake. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Like that.
Smith, aye.
You know, that was just somebody buying the property right when we were changing things around, so.
Yeah,
All right,
glad we were able to work that out.
yeah. Item 15, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 23-009, the City Council of City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map of the City of Red Oak, Texas, as hereto amended and by granting a change in zoning from highway-oriented HO to planned development 149, BD 149, for the development of a daycare center on the property located approximately 2,150 feet south of Willow Road and east of State Highway 342, described as Lot 2, Block 1, Nail Business Park Number 2, situated in the B.E. Fraser Survey, Abstract 371, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, and being more particularly depicted in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto, and incorporated herein, providing for development of property in accordance with the development plan, landscape plan, elevation plan, attached hereto and incorporated herein as Exhibits B, C, and D respectively, provided for herein, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date. Case ZC 23-05, requested by the ORs. Dr. Emery.
This is a zone change request to change the zoning on the property from addressed as 504 State Highway 342 from highway-oriented to planned development 149 for the development of a child daycare center. The owner plans to construct a 5,853 square feet child care facility with a fenced outdoor play area. There will be a canopy at the front of the building which will serve as a student drop-off and pickup area. The exterior of the building will be a mixture of brick, stone, and stucco. The attached site plan, landscape plan, and elevation plans were reviewed by staff and are in compliance with the city's development standards. P&Z unanimously recommended approval of the request, and staff also recommends approval. And this is a companion item to the item we just saw for an actual zoning change case to allow a PD to operate on the site. So access will be from 342, and they did reach out to Texas Department of Transportation, and they said that they would allow that access as long as the second access to the south would be condemned. And there's going to be a play area at the back of the site with access, with pedestrian access to it, and it will be gated by a 6 feet high metal fence.
Okay.
So they're gonna condemn, so it's one way in, one way out based on text dot.
Correct, but there is a shared drive, another shared drive to the south where people would be able to have access, but the main point of the site would be, direct access to the site. 504312.
Okay, so this is a public hearing, we'll open the public hearing at 7:30. Mr. Orr, do you have anything unless you just, questions? Okay. Well, I'm sure to reach out to you. Entertain anybody else, I'm sorry. Entertain a motion to close at 7:31.
So moved.
Goodwin? Lightfoot? Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Smith, aye.
That's 5-0. All right. So, is that the drive-through canopy? So, that's metal? The roof?
Oh, yes.
So do you have a front elevation? I assume that's on the front, right? Base, okay. So how's that look? What's that elevation look like? I guess when I hear canopy, what's the difference between a porch shade and a canopy?
So that we can drive through the area to drop off the kids' minutes. Persons required, one drop off.
I guess when I hear canopy, I think something canvas-like canopy that's not very substantial or.
It's basically the same thing as porch. It's just the drop off, and it's metal and so.
Okay.
Mayor, this is Bob. The technical difference is one's connected to the building and the other's not.
But this has a covered walkways, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, Dr. Emma, could you go back to the, egress and entrance of the, right there? How many students or children are we looking to serve at, let's say, for drop off?
They may not, or they may or may not be there all at one time. Correct?
Correct, yeah. So think in terms of Adventure Academy, they similar process. Very sweet. Have a look at here. Okay, right here, and where you have to drive in, drop, go inside, drop the kid off. We think it's a better approach to have the drop off. Now, the total student population is 53, but they're not all going to arrive. They'll still be staggered. There'll be a worker to greet the children and bring them in, so.
And what's your max occupancy for your CO?
53.
So that is max.
Years, and then 14 includes. So that's.
Okay, so if we just go back down to the, illustration, just one, so what would be the flow of traffic? Because Tech Doc said only one dedicated,
Right,
drive approach, but they can have access to the one.
right. Because the site to the south has two driveway approaches. They don't want it where there's now, three really close driveway approaches.
So the close the middle driveway,
Right,
which the same property owner, I
right.
think, owns both properties. So they close the middle one, which will help giving them some stacking. I know that's a concern, is stacking back out on the
Correct,
342.
correct.
Can you give us a Google Earth view? Can we get,
guess, actually, what Council Franklin said, when they enter, they won't exit with the same exit, the same entrance, so they, you be able to, they'll use that other, entrance to
They
exit.
can, but if they're concerned about, backup, then there will be another access from the current property.
Right there by Boulevard, right? I'm sorry, a little bit north of that. 342 is gonna be closed,
Right.
right? That one? That one?
The one in the flip,
Right,
there's gonna be another one, right? Where the property, that one's gonna be closed, but you still have the other one.
And then they're going to allow them another access.
Do you know how much
How
further?
far off would that be?
Close. 200 feet? Oh, no.
So there's the existing approach to being removed, the dotted line there.
It doesn't quite go up to that other drive, because that's on the property to the north, but it gets close, it's up to the north end of this property.
Not removing that building where that red dot was, it's got to.
No, it's not
It's not where the red dot was, it'd be the property just north of it.
Right.
Okay, and staff, there are no concerns with floor traffic, egress, you're okay with all of that? Okay.
So if they have 8 employees, and we only have 2 handicap up front, and 2 parents come to park, to come in for a consultation or pick up their kids, they're parking underneath the canopy?
It's gonna be 14 parking spaces.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. So they have to park way back there and then walk back up to the front?
Pedestrian access, that'll be from parking to the.
And just the fire lane along the north side, not coming back south? So they have to back in, back out?
Oh, a fire truck?
Fire truck?
Yeah, unless the car is removed. Cars are there.
Okay. Council, any other questions? Entertain a motion to approve, ordinance number 23-009. Councilman Drake?
Second.
Councilman Franklin? Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
That's for that.
Smith, aye.
Yeah, that passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Item 16, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 23-010, the City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map of the City of Red Oak, Texas, as heretofore amended by granting a change zoning from Plan Development 66 revised for PD 66 R4 to Plan Development 66 revised 5 to allow for the development of an office building on the proposed property described as Lot 1, Block A, on the northwest corner of East Ovilla Road and North State Highway 342, the City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, as provided in Exhibit A, attached hereto and incorporated herein, providing the site plan, landscape plan, elevation plan, and attached hereto as exhibits B through D respectively, which are attached hereto and incorporated herein, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing the savings clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date. Case ZC 23-04, requested by Alamo Missions LLC in the City of Red Oak Industrial Development Corporation. Dr. Ema.
This is a zone change request to construct an office building on Lot 1, Block A of the proposed Alamo Mission subdivision. The office building will be, developed in 3 phases and will be a total of 28,540 square feet. The developer has submitted development plans, landscape plans, and elevation plans, which are in conformance with the originally, approved PD. And Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval, and staff concurred with, P&Z's recommendation. So when they come to submit in phases for the permitting, staff will just administratively, review that. They've submitted the landscape plans and elevation plans that show how the building will show that.
This is,
It's up against the railroad track up about where that old private crossing is at.
across from Anderson Road. This is a public hearing, and the time is, 7:41. We do have, Mr. Morales. Do you care to speak, or only questions, or what do you want to do?
Just here to answer any questions.
Okay. All right. Is there anybody here who wants to speak on this? The time is 7:42, and I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Councilman Goodwin, Councilman Drake. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Like, but I,
Smith, aye.
All right, that closes at 7:42. That's 5-0. All right, council, do you have any questions? So, yes. So is the parking, is that all required based on the size of the building, or what the function is?
The use will determine the parking ratio, so, they've exceeded the,
Yeah, I didn't think there were that many people there. How many parking spots are those?
35.
135?
It's done by the square footage of the building for office use. There may not consistently be more than 50 or 60 or something employees there, but there could at times be, as well as this is just matching what our parking ordinance requires for that size of a building.
Okay.
and it's 1 parking space per 300 square feet.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
This is for them only, Google only?
That is correct. It's their property.
Their building?
Yep.
Their employees?
Yep.
it's behind the secured entrance.
Well, they could have vendor, contract employees in there, but it would all be.
But it's all there.
It's not open to the public.
Yeah, it's not public.
I feel bad that you having to make that many, but we don't want to change the ordinance, because then we're kind of messed, so anyway. Any other questions? All right, entertain a motion to approve ordinance 23-010.
So moved.
Lightfoot,
Second.
Smith. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye. Drake, aye.
Like, but I,
Smith, aye.
That passes 5-0. Sure. Item 17. Consider adoption of resolution number 23-035R, the City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, approving the terms and conditions of a contract with Texas Bit in the amount not to exceed $608.08 for the reconstruction and resurfacing of a section of Steenback Road, Cole Road, Rugged Drive, located in Red Oak, Texas, on approval of as to form by the city attorney and authorizing the city manager to sign. Mr. Williams, happy belated birthday.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Council. This agenda item before you, simply just part of our 2021 pavement condition assessment, identified Rugged and Cole Road for this time period. This was part of our 22-23 in budget work session, and so Council funded this project, so, we're just seeking to move forward, with council's approval authorizing the expenditure with Texas BIT. This is, utilizing an interlocal, with the county, so the county, for their projects, they use Texas BIT for their overlay part of it. In this case, Texas BIT's gonna do the complete make-ready and the overlay, for some, in that particular precinct.
So, council, if you haven't already been down, Lawrence, right? That was resurfaced, correct?
Yes, well, it was microsurface.
Microsurface, different than this process.
Yes,
Okay.
this is full depth reconstruction,
Okay.
so it's basically rebuilding the road,
Okay.
start to finish.
Okay. Any questions, council? No questions. Those in favor of adopting resolution 23-035R?
So moved.
Councilman Drake,
Second.
Councilman Franklin. All right. And Smith. There we go. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Drake, aye. Let's put that.
Smith, aye.
All right, that passes, 5-0.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Scott.
Item 18, consider adoption of resolution number 23-036R, the City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, accepting a voluntary annexation petition and authorizing the setting of a date, time, and place for one public hearing on the contemplated annexation depicted in Exhibit A attached hereto and made part hereof for all purposes annexation area by the City of Red Oak, Texas, authorizing and directing city staff to publish notice of such hearing with the institution of the annexation proceedings by adoption of annexation ordinance to occur at a regular city council session and to prepare a service plan for the annexation area, said annexation area being more particularly depicted in Exhibit A and providing an effective date.
And this is the property that IDC has under contract out on 2377 Pratt, that corner. The frontage component of that is already within the city limits, but this will take in the rest of that to make it contiguous to the other pieces that we're talking about. The seller has agreed to put the petition in place ahead of purchasing and closing. So we're just moving forward with that so that it will be annexed by the time we close or right around the time we close.
Okay.
And the date, that would basically come back for the May 8th regular council meetings for public hearing and approval of the annexation.
Questions, council?
No questions.
All right, entertain, adoption of resolution 23-36R.
So moved.
Councilman Franklin, Councilman Lightfoot, those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
That passes 5-0. Item 19, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 23-006 of the City Council of the City of Red Oak, Texas, providing for a voluntary annexation of territory generally described as being 51.83 acres, more or less, out of the R.A. Le Mans Survey Abstract 1365 in the City of Red Oak, ETJ, Ellis County, Texas, as described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein for all purposes to the City of Red Oak, Texas, and extending the boundaries of the city limits so as to include said property within the city limits and granting to all inhabitants and owners of said property all the rights and privileges of other citizens and binding all inhabitants by all the ordinances, acts, resolutions, and regulations of said city, providing for a service plan which is attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference, providing a severability clause and providing an effective date. Legal Hager.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a long-standing item that's been on your agenda. We've been carrying it recently. We got a positive feedback from the owners of the property regarding housing and occupancy density in this municipal utility district. And so we would ask that this be continued while we work out the rest of the zoning details with the developer for this project. And so I would ask the council to entertain a motion to continue this to the May 10th or the May 8th regular meeting.
Entertain a motion to continue us to the May 8th meeting.
We'll move.
Councilman Goodwin, Councilman Drake, those in favor?
No question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Franklin,
How about, anybody have any questions on this? I wasn't gonna give you.
finally solving this one today.
I thought we were too, so I was so excited trying to get it pushed through. I apologize. So, sir, I apologize.
Franklin,
Okay,
Aye.
Smith, aye.
all right, that passes 5-0. Mr. Hager, you're supposed to stop me before I go that far, so. Anyway.
Well, we've handled this so many times, Mayor, I'd be shocked if there was any questions, but if there are questions, we'd be happy to answer.
All right, thank you, sir. Item 20, consider approval of ordinance number, I guess the key point on that is we're making progress, so.
Have agreed to the density, they're working out the rest of
Yeah.
the,
I apologize. Item 20. Consider approval of ordinance number 23-011 in the city of Red Oak, Texas by amending ordinance number 22-032, amending the fiscal year 2023 official budget, appropriating funds to increase the expenditures within the water and water and sewer fund, and to increase the expenditures within the water and sewer impact fees to cover capital project expenses as attached in Exhibit A, providing that expenditures for said fiscal year can be made in accordance with said amended budget, providing a severability clause, providing an effective date. Ms. Platt, Mr. Williams, and Mr. Fuller.
Council, what I've asked, Scott and Gloria to do is we can discuss both of these items basically as the same item. The bottom line of the story is the bids came back high on the utility relocation, for the TxDOT project, as well as we had some capital projects in that we were doing that would not be reimbursed. It would be just our money. I think it was 800 and something thousand, then get into the details, that it went over budget. The majority of that will be reimbursed from TxDOT, but there is a component that will not be, and Gloria has worked out ways to pay for that as well, which would be included. So, and Scott, you want to try to explain the partial reimbursement component for TxDOT first?
Yes, sir.
Before we get into the amendment.
And also
So this is item 21.
20 and 21.
2021, we'll handle it together.
so, tag team me on this.
All right.
Get it figured out. Also, we have, representation from TxDOT here that, can back me up in anything I say. So initially, going into this is a reimbursable expense, for the actual relocate that we're doing from TxDOT, for TxDOT in this case. However, we do have some capital projects that we're doing there, about just under $400,000 worth of capital projects that are part of our master water improvement plan, and they're associated with the interstate. So now's the time to do that project while the contractors there are doing the relocates as well. So, however, now going back to, since the bid came in higher than what we have in budget, TxDOT offers a partial payment program, so, we have to essentially submit a lot of documents, just showing TxDOT what we've done, and then, you correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's 35, 40 days if we've submitted everything correctly, we will receive payment for what we submitted to be reimbursable. So, by doing this will help us, make up that shortfall. So, TxDOT will reimburse us for the total project, but initially, we were gonna have to pay all of it up, not receive any reimbursement until the end of the project. Now, we are going to utilize a partial payment. So, for example, $1 million into this project, we'll submit for reimbursement of $1 million. And then Gloria will take over at that point and essentially pay back our general fund where money's coming from. You want to jump in on?
Right, so the way we've set up the budget amendment, because as Scott mentioned, we have to pay for the project up front. So we want to have that covered in the budget. And so we set it up to be funded from, partially from a short-term loan from the general fund. And that would be an amount of $237,791. And so that would just be until we are able to recover those funds back from TxDOT. The rest of the shortfall would be covered, from the water and sewer fund, and the water and sewer impact fee fund. So, Public Works has identified projects that are eligible to, pay for it in that fund, and so we can kind of move those funds a little bit around so that we can free up funds in the water and sewer fund. That way it is covered in the budget, so we project funds up front.
So bottom line, TxDOT will pay for all of the reimbursable, but it may be 2 or 3 years or more, maybe, it depends on when they finish their project. Then they will make the full reimbursement for all of the TxDOT relocations. Since it's over budget, if they do the partial reimbursement up front, that gets us covered. We have the rest of it covered with our budget. So it's really just kind of on paper almost, for that component. And then the impact fees and so forth cover our non-reimbursable portion.
So part of these ordinances and resolutions mandate that it goes back out of the fund, that the reimbursement goes back into the funds that it was taken out of, as far as the accounting purposes.
So we don't have that in the resolution, but it is a grant. And that is how we record those expenses, and we'll record that revenue back to the funds where they were expensed.
And that's not something unheard of, right? No. We've done this before. Okay. Questions, council?
Is it guaranteed that TxDOT will reimburse?
They will reimburse all of it for the contract.
Okay.
In 2 or 3 years, and we have them here too.
Speak on that. So typically, like I just told said, we don't reimburse until the project's completed. But being that, we gotta get this project ready for by December of this year, this is something that I've talked to all of this call paper. She's, works for the district utility. She's over the reimbursement part of it.
Yes.
So this is when, Dora and I talked, and, she can elaborate more on the partial payments, but we are committed to give the city back this partial payments, so we can make this relocation complete as we complete this project. I'll let her speak on that.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for TxDOT to do a partial payment. Like utilities actually opt to do. It isn't, the utility can elect to do this, it's in the standard. So, it was brought to our attention that the city of Red Oak would like to do a partial payment. And so all that we ask is, of course, there's a couple of forms that we have to have completed, and then you submit the work that's been done on the project, and you can submit partial payments, no more frequent than 30 days. And also all of the Buy America materials on the project, we have to have all of the paperwork supporting that the utility has
be compliant, and they submitted their documentation to prove that the materials in Buy America compliant. We have no problem doing partial payments. We're gonna work with City of Red Oak. I've alerted my staff to let them know that we need to expedite and, get this done so that City of Red Oak can get a partial payment and be able to pay their contractor for. So we're not.
And Scott, just to verify, the contractor will be in compliance with that?
Yes.
For our contract?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, council?
We previously budgeted for this.
We previously budgeted $800,000 less, but yes, we budgeted for the project itself.
We weren't contemplating a partial payment at that point, right? That's
Right.
something we worked out to try to cover this
Right.
extra expense.
Exactly.
All right, so we'll take each one separate. First one's consider, approval of ordinance number 23-011. Please entertain that motion to approve that.
So,
Councilman Franklin, Councilman Lightfoot, those in favor?
Frank, aye.
Drake, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye. All right, that passes 5-0. Item 21 is consider adoption of resolution, number 23-037R, the City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, awarding a bid to and authorizing execution of a contract with Black Rock Construction for the Interstate I-35 at Farm to Market 664 utility relocation project, authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the appropriate and necessary documents and providing an effective date. And is there anything else that you need to speak on this, Mr. Williams?
I guess I'm happy to answer any questions, but this, we went out for competitive bids. We received, I believe it was four bids. Black Rock was a low bid, and coming in at the $2,886,000. So that's part of it. And then we have a 5% contingency that adds into it, so needing a total of $3,031,000 to complete this TxDOT relocation. So.
Have we worked with them before?
No, sir, we haven't. But Kimley Horn vets out the engineers, so they call references, they check on the jobs that they've done.
Okay.
And we get those calls frequently ourselves, just from contractors that are working for Red Oak. So some other engineering firm or, another city will contact us and ask those very same questions. But so it's a reciprocating process, but they've been vetted out as far as, and I think Kimley Horn has worked with them and is familiar with them, but I'm not, and the city of Red Oak has not worked with them before.
Back with, Mr. Poole's question about, they will be in compliance with TxDOT, right?
Yes.
Anything in writing?
Yeah, that was actually part of their bid specifications, that they have to be compliant, and would be part of that. So
That would end up costing us a lot of money if they were.
Sure, yes.
So. Something guaranteed from them?
Is it in their contract that we're approving?
Sorry?
Is it in their contract that we are approving?
It can be, if you're talking about Buy American.
Right, we need to make sure that the compliance of the Buy America and whatever TxDOT requirements are a component of the contract.
Okay, we can do that.
The bid does become part of the contract as well.
Oh, that's it.
Was that part of the RFP, Scott?
Yes, it was.
It was in the RFP?
Yeah. And, everything they use, every piece of material, they send us those items as submittal items. And so we review all of that on paper, that's them saying what they're gonna use, and before it goes in the ground, before they use it, we visually inspect it as well.
Don't wanna, they're putting the restrictions on us to do a certain thing, but we have no control.
Sure.
So we need some sort of control to say, hey, y'all didn't do the right thing by these guys.
Now, this project will keep our construction inspector really busy, so, but that will be, a large component of, that will be part of it at least, so, just of what material is. So.
Okay, any other questions? Entertain a motion to adopt resolution 23-037R. Councilman Drake, Councilman Lightfoot. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye. Drake, aye.
Smith, aye.
That passes 5-0, and, thanks to TxDOT, and, forgot, what's your company? TxDOT. Oh, okay, TxDOT, thanks for TxDOT. Okay, anyway, excellent, thank y'all for having coming. All right, so now we are at, council reports. Chief Blank.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. This month we put out our annual report for 2022. Just a couple things I want to highlight in there and take any questions that you all may have. We had over 4,400 apparatus responses last year. That's for a total of 875 overlapping incidents, which is about 30% of our calls. These overlapping incidents are multiple calls happening simultaneously within the same district, requiring units to respond outside of their primary district. Just kind of goes to show the growth that we've got around the city and getting busier in all aspects. Our fire marshal's office conducted 60 certificate of occupancy inspections for new businesses. So just to kind of, again, think about that, that's a little over one per week. When you start thinking about new businesses opening right up, some good news there. Doesn't sound like a lot, 60 over a year, but when you think about that, the businesses opening in your city, one a year or one a week, it's pretty large amount. So, for sure. That's cool. Other than that, I don't have anything else, unless you have any questions.
Thank you, Chief.
I like the chart of the cooperative team to break down all the stats of it. It's a good chart, good visual, kind of where we fit.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Yes, sir. Chief Wolf.
Mayor, Council, I just wanted to go over or allow you to ask questions on the document that I gave you. The document that was provided to you before council is our last annual report that we need to produce. We produce these documents to be in compliance with our accreditation standards. It requires us to break down these components for pursuits, response to resistance, and our fleet accidents and injuries. I know you probably didn't have a whole lot of time to go over those documents, but at a later time, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. But that's provided again for our compliance with the accreditation standard. And some good news, we were able to hire 2 experienced officers. They started with us this morning. I hope to be able to bring them before council next month for formal introductions.
You didn't make them show up on day one?
Well, today was their day one.
I know.
No. Gave them a little bit of a rest. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions you may have on our annual, or monthly report.
What criteria do you use to stop the chase?
Cut off what?
When you're chasing someone?
There's a lot of factors that are involved in that. Speed, traffic conditions, what the actual offense is for. Generally, most of our chases are for high-grade felonies, or intoxicated drivers.
A couple things, Chief. First, thanks for the report. It was good. On page 4, what is a soft empty-end type of force used?
That would be a compression hold, a joint manipulation, a wrist lock, a leg lock. It's a bent wrist compression is normally what that is. Soft empty hand is usually compared to what we call guidance techniques that have some component of pain compliance to it, but it's not like punches, kicks, or strikes.
Okay. On page 10, your response to resistance incidents by subject rate. You have 6 of black. Why do you feel the majority of these responses, what's the cause of that? Have you looked into those matters to see why are blacks leading that charge with having the most resistant residents?
I think a lot of it has to do with the climate right now and the perception of police. A lot of the contacts that we have, if you go back and you look at our racial profiling report, that was provided earlier, our contacts are about 50-50. Citations are 50-50 and arrests are right around 50-50. As far as the resistance, with regards to, black versus white versus Hispanic, generally, they have either had outstanding warrants where they had a previous incarceration and they didn't want to go back to prison, or they didn't want to comply with the request of those officers. And so they were resisting to try and get away.
Thank you for that. And lastly, on Red Oak Road, right here, West Red Oak Road,
Yes, sir.
I'm noticing a lot of vehicles driving through the bluebonnet to take pictures. You can still see the tracks in the bluebonnets right now. I don't know if you have noticed it, or if you noticed like a lot of cars trying to get those pictures or not.
I personally have not seen any of them, nor have I received any, information from my officers with regards to that, but we'll certainly look for it.
Councilmember Franklin, I think what's happening is actually they're cutting through that property to get to Knox, to get to the fuel station.
Well, if you're talking about that in particular, that particular intersection, they're actually leaving Knox to bypass the service road. They're driving through that field to go down to Juggahan to get on to 35.
Okay, well, I know Saturday I saw a vehicle, it was a convertible, parked in the middle of the bluebonnets, they were actually out. Taking pictures.
Well, that path has been worn down a little bit, so I think they think it's
I think it's a cross-through or
well,
approved.
ad hoc at best, but yes.
Okay.
They may not think it, but they see plenty of other people have done it, so I see these people crossing it.
And again, it
They definitely need the blue one, so they park up there on the sidewalk and get out there.
They were parked on the bridge the other day. 2, 3 deep on the bridge.
So at a later time, if we've had a chance to kind of digest those reports, I'd be happy to answer any other questions or provide additional information on those 3 reports.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. You said, I'm sorry, real quick. That was 20 feet.
It's 22, 23.
Okay, gotcha. All right. 21, 23, calendar year.
Yeah. Ms. Beasley.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I only have one major thing I'd like to highlight from this month's report. Our website redesign is complete and the new website is live. So you guys are welcome to check that out. We are going through page by page right now. We did have a couple broken links we've identified, so I'm getting those fixed up. So hopefully before the end of the week, we'll have no more errors that I'm aware of. But yeah, the redesign is live. We're all pretty proud of it. I had lots of help from staff over the past few weeks, getting it up to date, both internal my staff and other departments. So I'm very appreciative of that. But if you see anything, please let me know. And we'd love to get any feedback from you guys and then as well from the community once it's a little bit more publicized. That's all I really got.
Ms. Platt.
Mayor and Council, just a couple of things to bring out from the report. March is our half-year mark for the fiscal year, and so we'd like to just talk about the budget to actual just a little bit. You may have noticed that the revenues in general fund, we've collected 67, a little over 67% of the revenues. Water and sewer fund and drainage utility fund, those are collected 30 days in arrears, but they are right under 50%. So those are tracking well on revenues. Also expenses, we are well under 50%. General fund at 37.26%, and water, sewer, and drainage also under 50. We are beginning to work on our 2024 budget as well, so we're very busy with that. We also moved into, of course, the new government center, so our utility billing customers are finding us, and we're able to do business there, so that's gone well. I think that's all I have. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Got a couple
Okay.
more just for commentary, and if you're not ready to answer today, that's okay, because bringing it on. So I noticed in both the general fund, water and sewer, and then also EBC and IDC, interest income and investment income is well above, like almost 100% of what we budgeted.
Yeah.
And I noticed the investment list in here, and I haven't asked this question before, so it's a little education. But, it looks like there's 3 funds are those the only 3 funds we're allowed to invest in or allowed to place money? There are short-term investment options, they just happen to have been returning huge.
These are our investment pools,
Yeah.
and so yes, we do bring those to you to approve by council. We can invest in other investment pools. There was one we thought about bringing to you recently, but we actually, one of the ones we're already in, pushed ahead of that one, so did not. And of course, the interest rate market right now, you know, the rates are high.
Is that the driver, that was really my
Yes.
question, is that the driver, they're all short-term investments, so it's all just like money market?
Yes, they're
CDs,
very
and things?
liquid. Of course, our goal, you know, we do want to have some interest revenue, that's great, but our main goal is safety and liquidity
Right.
for our funds.
I mean, I remember the investment policy,
Yeah.
that's your driving goal, I just wasn't sure if we just got really lucky with
Yes, and we
the
have.
side benefit of having high interest rates. Like,
Yes, definitely. We've budgeted conservatively the past couple of years because there has been zero interest pretty much. And so we did bring that up just a little bit this year in the budget, but it's definitely gone higher than what we expected.
Those are some questions about that. Otherwise, okay, thank you.
So can you comment, have people, started using the kiosks?
We have had several people using the kiosks. We're kind of, I think whenever the lines get restriped, there's a little bit of confusion right now about which way to go and things like that. And, you know, some people are walking up to it and using it, and a few have driven by it and used it.
And people have come inside, I guess?
And people are coming inside, yeah. But,
Yeah. Get people angry that they came over here?
we have had a couple that weren't, terribly happy because they came here and they're used to doing business a certain way, and we've moved on them, and, things have changed, so we're hoping to make them happy and figure out what they need.
Very good. Thank you. Ms. Manda? Never gonna get it right. 6 years, it'll be all right.
You should try every time, you might get it right.
I know. The very last one, I'm gonna go take lessons or whatever.
All right, Mayor and Council, I just have a quick update on recruitment. We added 1 new hire for the month of March, and we currently have 7 positions posted on our website. As you've seen, we've hired 2 police officers and a firefighter. And we are working hard on recruitment right now, as we've been receiving more applications. And then we have an employee appreciation committee. I just kind of want to highlight and thank them for all their hard work this month. We sprung 2 events on them. They hosted a pancake breakfast at Fire Station 1 for all of our city employees. It's a come-and-go pancake breakfast that was made by our firefighters. They even got a call and improvised, but it was a good event and had a great turnout. And then we also did one on March 20th for all the employees that were packing up and cleaning up their offices to move to the Red Oak Government Center. So we're pretty active, and we're getting ready to start planning the spring luncheon on May 5th. So we'll get that information to all of y'all if you would like to stop by if you're available.
And then I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Bedford.
Mayor, Council, most of our month was spent just getting the Red Oak Government Center all up and running. We moved both the finance and court server, those both went pretty much without a hitch. Installed a new server for the library, new domain controller, which is the server we use to log into everything. New PCs for the library patrons, those are built, we'll be installing those tomorrow morning. And got all the access control badges set up. Also, we changed all the fiber circuit speeds around the city to match up where everybody was moving to the new building, and we got moved in. So, a few things that are still open, we're waiting on contractors and then waiting on some time that we can get free to put in a couple other things, but we're getting there.
Exciting. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Ragsdale.
Good evening, guys. First of all, I wanted to point out about the new format. One thing I reported on that I wasn't here for the last council meeting. They sent me to Denver for a nice leadership summit. But I hope you enjoy the new format. Just a nice, at a glance, two-page format that I started in February. So to report a few things in February, and then I'll go into today's opening. In March, library visits are up 32%. And of course, we still have to sort of keep in mind that about this time last year, we still weren't really quite reopened totally to the public because of COVID. And so the numbers are a little kind of skewed if you look at those. But with the March and April, we'll probably be comparing to that we were fully open. So unique borrows are up 37%. Unique borrows counts for how many individual families, as opposed to is it just the 5 same people? No, it's really about 3. I think it usually averages about 300. Door count, of course, definitely up large for March. And the last thing I wanted to mention before I talk about March reports is the Friends of the Library are sponsoring a fundraiser. And so if you drop by the library, we have some flyers, and the Friends of the Library is a nonprofit organization that supports the library, and we've received some great generous donations, thanks to especially to the mayor and his wife from the Avila Vet Clinic. Thank you very much. Library officially opened to the public today for the first day, and we had about 100 people throughout the day. Very first couple people in were groups of daycare kids that come to my story time, and they just, first of all, they ran around the library because there's space to run around. But we had puzzles out for them, crafts out for them, and so it was a great, just nice first day. So thank you very much for the new space, and if you have any questions about my report for March, I'll be glad to answer. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Kelly.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. A couple items I'd like to highlight in this month's report is the basketball court at Hargrove Park is lit now. The lights are working. There is a timer there, so the lights will go off at 11 o'clock in the evening. So they will come on when the sun goes down, and they'll turn off at 11, so we don't have any super late nights going on out there. The cameras will follow in approximately 60 days. We're going to store the camera housing is going to be over at the new restroom, which is, right now we're still waiting on the metal structure to come in. So it looks like later this month they'll get that metal structure in and they'll proceed with the construction. The cameras will be added, and then we'll put in everything into the storeroom there for the cameras to operate. Cherry Creek Park has been closed for a little over a year now, and it will be opening later this week. We did finally get the area, TRA had to come back 3 times and respray the areas. It was a wide open mud pit, essentially, is what happens every time it rains, and folks would have to trounce through that. So we do have grass establishing in there right now, so we're gonna mow the park up, clean it up, and then open it up either Thursday or Friday of this week. And then the final thing is, our administrative assistant, Sarah Zuniga, is leaving, so I have an open position. We are interviewing currently. We did, started interviews today. We've had quite a nice response. We've had about 9 folks, high quality, apply. So we've selected, right now, we have the top 3 candidates we feel like on paper to come in, and then if we need to keep going down the interview list from there. And hopefully we'll be able to, fill her shoes pretty quickly. Her last day with us will be next Monday. Any questions?
What are the, park hours?
It's open from, 5 a.m. until 11 p.m.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Mr. Williams. Ms. Bradford.
Mayor and Council, feel like the bearer of bad news. I guess while Jared's handed out just additional documents, we'll talk about that in a minute. It's part of our report, but good news is Methodist Pump Station, the 1.5 million gallon ground storage tank is right on track. The contractor has completed digging out the foundation for it and getting in the base foundation compaction, as you go through a lot of testing and compactions. So that's where they're at. So it's on track. The Methodist Street project, widening project is still on track for completing the end of this month. They've got the east lane in complete between Reddick Road and Bob White. And so this week they'll be working on the west side. And then once they get that completed, it's got to go through, just some testing, concrete testing as far as they do cylinder breaks, and then we're allowing 3 days, 7 days, and then go up to 28 days. Just looking for basically the hardness of the concrete in percentage, like over 75%, if it meets that standard. So everything's going real well on that. So the sidewalks go in and cleanup begins to happen. So weather permitting, we're on track for that. Now what Jared set out in front of you, this is Plaza Drive, so the southwest handle, I guess you want to call it that. So this came to light to us, I want to say Thursday of last week. Our construction inspector was out looking, just driving and saw work going on here. And it was Encore's contractors and Encore working out there. So what they were doing was they were preparing for, to put in new electrical poles, part of the process. So come to find out, just like we have to relocate our utilities underground for this TxDOT widening project on Avila, well, Encore and other franchise utilities have to do the same thing. So that's what they were doing, preparing for that. So they're relocating electrical lines. In this case, the impact is going to be, following that pink circle, highlighted circle around, you see little oval numbers beginning with 2, 3, all the way up to 20, I guess, on the bottom side. So those are all going to be new poles that do not exist now. And so, and that's why I wanted to just kind of bring it up in front of council so that you, so we're kind of in a rock and a hard place. Again, in the perfect world, there would have been a lot of coordination with TxDOT and all franchise utilities at the same time, but we were not privy to what Encore was doing, just like some of the telecommunications stuff or Atmos stuff. I mean, it was all what we're doing with our utilities, nothing with what everybody else is doing. So we made some calls, and for one thing, it would be a 3 to 4 month process for them to go back and try to re-engineer anything. And although it was a very ballpark number, it was a 7-figure number to be able to, for us, pay the difference of what they're doing with poles to go underground. So,
So the way our ordinance works, we can require that the electric be underground, as long as it is under, I forget what the voltage is.
it's like 60,
Kilovolts or whatever. So we can require it. The problem is we can't require them to pay for it. So typically, if it is a developer putting in a subdivision and so forth, they usually bear the cost difference between the overhead poles that Encore would put in themselves versus the underground line. In this situation, there is no developer, so the seven-figure number would have to be paid for by us. So you're talking about, we're just trying to figure out how to get $800,000 to get the project done itself, and throwing another seven figures on top of it, and an additional time period, which puts them out in being able to, again, work on the overpass area. So, I don't know where we will find that much money to go in and do this, but we did want to at least bring it up to y'all's attention so that if you wanted us to try to figure out how to spend that much money to do this, then we can try to. But it's not just about.
How many poles are on that, in this area right now?
there are no poles.
No, it goes diagonal across right now.
You can kind of tell it's penciled in, and that's kind of how it runs now. It kind of goes up in 90 from the bottom of the page up, and then 90 over to the left.
Those are rather expensive homes in there, but imagine what else.
There's no homes.
At the doctor's office.
It's the doctor's office and the Ben Little's building.
Yeah, Mamacitas, where Mamacitas used to be. Mamacitas, the Mexican restaurant.
What about?
That's no longer there.
There's no homes there.
That's the curb, that's the jug
That's the
handle.
they're talking about?
That's the jug handle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like, so everywhere, yeah, so anywhere that line would have a deflection, like, since it's making a curve, they're making the curve by deflecting, by not having any deflection, because everywhere there would be one, so you can't curve the line.
Talking about Red Oak Road here, that's not.
No, we're talking about the southwest corner of Old Villa Road and 35.
It has Red Oak, 13,
Across the freeway from CDA.
1304.
Yeah, that's not Red Oak Road, that's just,
So, we should have brought this up before TxDOT had left and said, you need to help fund some of this. Can we get funding back for that?
No, sir. We
talked to them already, so they won't fund it because under their rules, they do not require underground utilities. So this would strictly be us that would have to be paying for this.
What's the time frame?
Well, they're ready to go right now.
Well, they're ready, but I'm saying, I imagine our ordinance doesn't say that we have to pay for it right now, right? We would still have some,
Well, we would have to sign a contract for them before they would do it.
right? So if we told them today, we're gonna require this, but we're not gonna put a time frame on when we're gonna require it, we'd have some time, but the time that they have to do the relocation before it impacts the construction.
The way we understood it from TxDOT on Thursday was now.
They have to do it now,
They have to do it now.
but we have the option to tell them it has to be underground.
Yeah.
Our ordinance doesn't say we have to pay for it immediately, right?
If we require
I'm
them.
asking that question, Robbie, you get the idea, like, if our ordinance, we can require it.
So they're not gonna go out and put it underground without an agreement from the city of Red Oak to cover the cost.
Right.
So it would take another meeting, well, number one, it would take us going out and trying to find $1 million. And then it would require another council meeting to fund it and approve it, and approve a contract at that point. So they either will, I don't know, They claim they don't have the time.
But the question is, though, we'd have to come up with whatever the seven-figure number is now.
Yes.
It wouldn't be something we could say, we're committing to finding this money over the next 3 years when we would have to pay for it. It's gotta be part of this, one of the earliest stages of the construction, of this real estate.
Yeah, that is what they're doing currently.
So do we have those other corners too, like the,
This
Whataburger?
This is the only one that I'm aware of that's in our right of way. The rest of it's in TxDOT.
Oh, that's okay.
And let's donate it to TxDOT.
TxDOT won't make them put it underground because they have to follow the Texas Transportation Code.
So all the other ones are gonna be above ground, you can see that they're text out right away. Because if we enforce it, it'd just be this one section would be underground, all the rest of it would be above ground.
Right.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question, what percentage of electricity is underground that we have?
Most of the subdivisions are.
Yeah, if we can make
And
it.
most of the newer, commercial businesses are. The problem is, you know, when you're doing these relocations, there's nobody left to pay for it because it's already been put in. Now, if it was underground to begin with, I would think that they would have to come back and put it underground. But if it's overhead to begin with, then they can put it back as overhead.
Do you have any, ideas that you're brewing?
No. I don't think
Yes, I am.
It's doubly not worth it if this is the only
Sure.
corner that we'd be able
Right, I
to
agree.
do anything with, and the other ones we would even have no control over anyway.
And to be honest with you, I know it's not gonna be a good look, but it's going to be in the middle of a well. Because when that overpass comes on and all of the retaining walls go up and everything's ramped up here way high, you're not gonna be seen necessarily from down at ground level unless you're,
Doctor's office.
yeah, unless you're on that road for some reason.
So, let me ask this, once they put that overhead and kind of bend that back around, just like going down Old Willow Road, when they had just to the east of the State Farm, there's that two-story house, and they had to offset it directly across from Shuffman Elementary, and initially they had the power cords in the air, but it was too close to that house, and so then they had to put it underground. Is the elevation ramp force that, part of that to be underground? Okay, y'all mark my word, I bet they come back and put part of it underground. Some moron's gonna jump off the bridge and grab that thing, and they're gonna be,
Yeah, they have got to get that approved by TxDOT to build it that way.
well, they had it approved to do that this way, and then they had to come back in and put it underground.
All I can go by is what we are told by TxDOT law.
I agree, I think it's a waste of $1 million if that's our only corner, but it's not your fault, but it's gonna look stupid having that many telephone poles.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What about the, resurfacing of those roads in that southwest corner?
Beckley Pike,
Pardon?
are you talking about over here, Beckley Pike?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, fine.
Well, I haven't talked to, the county commissioner in the last 2 weeks, but it's anytime, so.
It's scheduled.
Oh, yes, sir, yeah, I mean,
It was actually scheduled for last year, but they pushed it to this year because they got busy.
right. Initially, he was actually, saying maybe late February, then he pushed it into March. But I haven't talked to Mr. Butler, in the last couple of weeks, so, it's just around the
Make
corner.
sure we go through something.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
And, Mr. Phillips?
Oh, Mayor and Council, just a quick update on where we are with the building. As several staff mentioned earlier, we moved into the building, started on the 31st, and we finished the library move on the 5th, I believe. So all the staff that's moving over to the building is in the building. All the content and everything else that we had scheduled to move over is there. We still got about We're at about 90% on our furniture purchase. There's still quite a bit that we're trying to work out on the rest of that 10%. But all of that is, you know, on schedule. The building itself right now is operating under a temporary CO. We've got a couple of issues that we're having with the front doors and parts being available. And so the latest update on yeah, the latest, so the doors, the main entry doors by utility billing in the main hallway are open. However, we're having some issues with the community entrance is what we call it. So that's the entrance by the library and the community room. And then also down on the east side of the building where we had the construction entrance by the gym. So they're trying to locate parts. They're going to be out Friday to do some of the work, but it'll probably be, you know, a few more weeks on the door side of things. We're still waiting on millwork in the council chambers, but I did find out this morning that they believe that the millwork will be installed and ready by the end of the month. And so, barring any complications with that, we should be still looking at our first council meeting on the 8th of May over at the new building. So, you know, that's kind of been the target all along, and we're hoping to meet that deadline. But other than that, there's a handful of odds and ends that have to be finished. We had one of the partner agencies, the chamber, move in last week, and then we've been working back and forth with the Ellis County Tax Office. They're kind of taking a different stand. They want their area to be completely 100% done before they move in. And so they pushed that back once. It looks like they may have to push that back again. Again, they got some door hardware issues and a couple of other things that are outstanding on their work. So, other than that, we're just working out little kinks that come up in the building and getting to know the building, how the building functions. But I wanted to, you know, especially thank the director group that moved into the building. You know, their staff, everybody was prepared. All the move went very smooth. And, you know, I want to also single out our IT staff because they have been counting the steps. We for a few days there, we were sharing step numbers. But, you know, it's been a lot of back and forth and a lot of long days. And frankly, it's nowhere near over. Because, you know, we have things that we haven't gotten to yet, you know, TVs and council AV and all those things that, you know, they just have been trying to get everybody up and running, so haven't been really the priority. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks that'll shift and they can get caught up on some of the other things. But I appreciate everybody's cooperative attitude and making all that a success. And hopefully in our next meeting, we'll be in the new building and having our first council meeting there. Happy to answer any questions.
So you still have quite a few things to go, but it feels like it's done. It's been a really good project, so a lot to be proud of for sure, for everyone.
Absolutely. It's beautiful. Are you available for a tour on Monday? Yes, sir. Okay, I'll reach out to you. Take a tour.
All right, so the time is 8:43, and we will go into closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, 551.087, 551.072. Do you think there's going to be any action? So that's 8:43.
I know, it's all you in the library.
Yeah, no worries. I'll just more so see the start and not forget.
Yeah, well, and Wendy will have to, so she can,
Didn't work it out, it might be on your best.
He says, I'm gonna email him, he's gonna fill it out, and I'll
When I get
combine
back, I'll
it.
take something to do that.
All right, the time is, 9:19, and we will come back into open session. Is there any actions that need to be taken?
Mayor and council, as a result of the executive session, no action needs to be taken on any of the posted agenda items.
Hearing none, then I think we are ready to adjourn at 9:20. The motion to adjourn? So moved. Second. Councilman Goodwin. Drake. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.